everybody. Welcome to the Film Roast Podcast. I am Jordan.
And I'm a very satisfied Scotty.
Yeah, we just went out to grilled, delicious burgers.
We had green mango today as well.
Yeah, we did have green mango. And we also had Boost.
Oh, wow. We had a great
It's
day
been
today.
an amazing day for food. And also, like, relatively healthy.
Yeah, healthy and a little, not too expensive.
We got Macca's somewhere in there as well, but I threw half of mine out.
Yeah. I mean, it was only drinks, really.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today, Jordan?
Well, we are taking a look at some anime.
An anime movie?
Yeah, an anime
Who had
movie.
that fantastic idea?
Well, I think I did.
Okay.
So
Okay. Wow. Okay.
I am super smart and intelligent, and I am amazing. So I decided that it was an executive decision because we
Yeah.
all know Scotty doesn't have any choice in this matter.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
No, I'm kidding. Scotty, you came up with the idea to do it.
It was a flash in the pan idea. So.
Yeah, it was a good idea. It was fun.
Nice
and
and
you're
something
going to
different.
find out how fun it is, especially if you
Follow us.
subscribe
Yeah.
and follow on my Segway, vroom vroom,
Yeah.
on Spotify, Stitcher. We got iTunes and a couple of others. If
We're on
you
YouTube
are
again.
on a place that you can't kind of just find us on the main page, you can just search for us on most podcast services.
There's this
and you
thing
should
called
be able to find
Google,
us.
which I think helps.
Yeah, Google helps as well.
Yeah,
Google helps as well.
We've never Googled a podcast.
I'm not even sure how you're listening to this if
Yeah.
you're not subscribed. So get subscribing, people.
And like and download all our content.
Also, it's weird at the moment because on Facebook we don't have. It's weird on Facebook. They're not allowing us to change our names. So don't fret, everybody. It's just a process that we have to go through. So it's So last week we had a
Trivia.
Trivia.
Yes.
You're looking at me like you're confused.
I was confused because you're stuttering. I'm like, what's he trying to say here?
I'm Bill Denbrough.
Okay.
I'm channeling Bill Denbrough.
Okay. Well channeled.
Thank you.
And someone who.
Thank you.
Okay. And the trivia question
Yes.
was
No, the answer.
on Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn, the 6'5" ex-footballer from college. Vince Vaughn. Did you know he actually had a career planned out for him being in the NFL, and then he got really badly injured and decided, you know what, I'm just going to default to acting
Yeah.
just because he can do that.
Well, he certainly can swing. So
Yeah, because he was in the film Swingers with Jon Favreau, and that's how we made the connection.
yes.
Guys, that's how we made it. So
Long-
let's jump into our episode of.
Weathering with you.
You got to input something.
No, I was about to do the plot thing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Wow.
This is such a shit show.
Welcome to the show, guys. Moments of happiness, sadness, tragedy, authority, regret, hope, and dropouts. But is the story too thin?
Let's go.
It was better in my
Roll.
head.
All right, let's go. Let's get to the episode. Whew. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yeah, Jordan's just smelling me. That's why I went, oof.
Yeah. Oof.
Oof.
Nasty. Nasty.
It's nice to have a structured podcast again.
Well, we'll see by the end of this.
Yeah. Structured,
Don't,
slightly more structured.
Yeah, don't make any assumptions until the very end.
Yeah, last couple of podcasts, I have forgotten the show notes. So we've
Forgotten, abandoned,
abandoned. Yeah.
completely abandoned. What's show notes? We don't need show
Well,
notes.
we've been busy. We forgot about certain
Yeah,
things.
well, it has been quite a busy last 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
It's been quite hectic.
I mean, I think it's been busy every single week we've done the podcast, but
Yeah.
we managed to
Well,
make it work.
Yeah. We take the time out for ourselves. Because let's be honest, this podcast isn't for you guys. This is just us.
Yeah, it's self-satisfaction.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to put my editing. Speaking of which, how did you feel? Because I kind of just re-edited all of our podcast visuals, I guess you can call it. How'd you feel about
It's great.
It's great. Awesome.
Yeah. No,
awesome.
I think it works.
Excellent. Because I love the 80s vibe.
Also,
80s vibe is my vibe.
It stands out, and on Spotify especially, it stands out because
excellent.
It's been really easy to show people on Spotify our podcast. I have 3 or 4 people at work. It's like, this is our podcast. Oh, okay, this is it. Cool. Because of course he's
easily remembered.
Yeah.
And nice looking.
Yep. Stands out.
The only downside is Facebook isn't playing ball with name changing, so we might need to make a new Facebook page or something. It's kind of annoying, but no.
Doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters.
No, not really.
I'm sure we can just, if people search Film Roast Podcast, it'll probably take them to that page anyway on Facebook.
Yeah. I've changed the tag name to Film Roast Podcast, which is weird because I can change the tag name, but when I put in change the actual name, it says your request has been denied because you are changing your name and it might seem like you're being
dodgy.
Yeah, it's a weird. So I sent a request back through saying what's the deal? Why are you doing this? That was over a week ago, and Facebook still hasn't replied. So I don't know. It might just be easier just to get rid of the Facebook page. And
we are of little importance to them who has the grand ambitions to conquer the universe. So
exactly, yeah.
Aliens will have Facebook before we have our freedom.
Dear.
Also YouTube. Several people have been commenting on that.
We have gone. I re-linked everything to YouTube again, so hopefully everything is up there. If it's not, please let Scotty know because he's the one that's talking to you guys.
Okay.
Well, you are. I'm not seeing any of this feedback apart from through Scotty, which is good.
Yeah. No. Dat has already watched it on. Shout out to Dat, by the way.
Ah, nice.
He was listening to us you almost gave me a shout out and didn't quite. I'm kind of annoyed about that.
Sorry, Dad. We love you, Dad.
Yeah,
we love you,
Dad. But yeah, no. YouTube is now available, so you can now listen to us on YouTube and see the logo constantly.
Yeah,
which
see
is
the
nice.
logo. So it is because I haven't actually checked it out on YouTube. I just link it. So it's just the logo.
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
So today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a kind of a different film.
A smaller market movie is what I've written down here.
That's a good description of it.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a studio that broke out, 2 years ago?
Your Name is sort of what they're most famous for.
Yeah.
Director Makoto Shinkai. That's probably terrible pronunciation. Makoto Shinkai. Anyway.
That's right.
I just said it the same twice in a row, so I don't know.
You're culturally butchering it, but I can't judge that because I'm white. So
yeah, yes, he is.
And the film we're going to be looking at today is called Weathering with You. Yep. And should I read this? I'll read this.
Yeah, you read the synopsis.
It's a very long synopsis, so bear with us.
Oh, dear.
A boy runs away to Tokyo and befriends a girl who appears to be able to manipulate the weather.
And that's all the movie is.
Except
there's so much more to it than that.
And so much less as well. It's, it's a lot, but it's not.
Okay. What did you know about the movie before going in?
Absolutely nothing.
Me too.
Absolutely nothing.
And can I just say how much of a relief that is compared to some things?
Yeah.
Not having any expectation other than knowing who's made it. That was it.
Yeah. And seeing Your Name before, because I didn't have a high opinion of Your Name. Simply because, I don't know, there's a preconceived idea of any other studios in Japan trying to make it on the world stage aside from, Miyazaki and his production company Studio Ghibli. It's kind of they're good but not great. That's kind of almost the general consensus for a lot of them. There's some out there like Ghost in the Shell and Akira.
There's an era in the 90s where there were several big directors.
And 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. In fact, there's one I think we should go back and do at some point. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but it's actually about a pop star. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the times have changed, and Your Name had this thing when it came out, and I know we're probably going to talk about Your Name quite a bit in comparison with this movie, but when Your Name came out, it was so universally popular that it has this thing where dogs will yell in the background, and
I might actually go check. Because
I
think it might be something important.
Okay, we'll pause and come back. Actually, we're not pausing. I'm here on my own now. Jordan can never get rid of me. There's a bomb in the package he's about to get. It's a glitter bomb. No, not really. I'm just saying this for the sake of it. He's probably going to do something with this footage. I'm kind of scared.
I'm back.
He's back.
I'm kind of expecting a package to arrive for the podcast. Yes, it's a special gift. No, it's new. It's new mic stands that we can move.
Oh, okay, them.
They're not attached to the desk,
yes.
Which is quite annoying sometimes.
We probably should talk about this. We changed the setup. Sometimes we have the other mic and we go out location. But when we're in the studio, there's a new desk, which means there's more room. And there's more importantly, there's a bigger space between us.
Yeah, there's more area to move instead of like having to bump shoulders or kick legs or anything like that.
Rub thighs.
Yeah, so it's a nice. I don't know what you guys were talking about or what you were talking about to them. It's gone. I guess I'll find out in the editing room.
Or maybe he'll forget to and just put it up line and see what happens.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I might just do that anyway. I don't really care.
This is behind the scenes. Your Name. We were talking about Your Name.
Yes, we were talking about Your Name.
It was really popular when it came out, so universally. And when things are popular, there's this thing like, and everyone likes it, then sometimes it's hard to judge objectively.
Yeah. Well, The Dark Knight had that problem.
Yep.
A lot of people to this day, I know quite a few people are angry with Christopher Nolan over how The Dark Knight panned out.
Really?
Yeah. Most of them are comic book nerds.
I know that The Dark Knight Rises has this thing as well, but
Dark Knight, a lot of people were frustrated with it because they were angry at the portrayal of the Joker. Don't ask me why.
I don't know why.
I don't know why.
Oh, well, we just veered onto the Joker topic. The Joker's just come out in the States on South by Southwest, is it?
South by Southwest. And it got an 8.5-minute standing ovation.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention.
So I'm very keen for it.
And yet some comic book nerds are already shaking their fists.
So many of them are like, they've taken a character and they've turned it into something else.
And yet to make a really weird shout out, and this isn't a channel I normally follow because it's so pop culture centric, Emergency Awesome.
Emergency Awesome on YouTube. I've never heard of them.
Okay, well, he's the ultimate in pop culture, pop culturisms.
Cool.
And he usually gives the popular opinion. But he called he called the Joker similar to the Dark Knight what's the actual term?
Masterpiece?
No, a changing point in superhero cinema. Oh, which is an interesting word. Okay. But it's
interesting though because of when people try to get on that pop culture train of catching it before release, they're saying, "Oh, it's going to be. No, I think it's going to change everything."
I think he's seen it.
But you know what I mean. So many people try and jump on it first. It often doesn't actually work out that way. But it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see it. I love Joaquin Phoenix as an actor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I sent a message to you talking about how this movie might be a good movie despite being a Joker movie.
Yeah, well, despite being a Warner Brothers film, I think is more of a...
Wow.
Well, let's be honest. How many films in the last, little while?
I think
I can only count Mad Max Fury Road is the last one in the last maybe 5 years that I've gone and seen and said, that's a good movie. Mm-hmm. And the one before that was the Harry Potter films.
Yeah. And then before that... I mean, that's the thing, though. Now and then they will have a gem, but...
It's very far and few between, though. Yeah.
They're very produced.
Very movies. Far and few between.
A lot of the movies.
Even Wonder Woman, as good as a DC hero film that was, it still has a lot of issues.
Yeah. And they're not necessarily Patty Jenkins.
No. But there you go. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back to...
A movie that doesn't have any producer interference, as far as I can tell. Weathering with you.
Well, it certainly doesn't seem like it.
No. I'm pretty certain the director has full control, maybe too much control, you could say.
It might be. So initial thoughts.
Yeah, you do your opinion.
Going in knowing nothing of this, aside from having watched Your Name.
Mm-hmm. He has done a few others beforehand.
Last year, yes.
Which apparently were... very similar like he has a way of doing certain themes in movies and motives of that are big
romantic animes.
Yeah, well,
right. Like is that the genre that
romance, sci-fi, mind-boggling animes?
Yeah, but low low sci-fi. Does
Yeah,
that make
low
sense?
sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah. So and by that I mean you've got low sci-fi and high sci-fi. High sci-fi or high fantasy is
Speculative
when
fiction.
stuff is like super interesting. Like Lord of the Rings is high fantasy.
Yes.
Whereas something like Back to the Future, the first one, not the second one, but the first one is low sci-fi.
Yeah.
Because you're just time traveling to a certain place. Instead of all the crazy sci-fi things like Star Wars, which is high sci-fi.
Well, that's space opera.
But it's high sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially the
It's
prequels.
high fantasy as well.
Especially the prequels. More than anything else. I would say the episode 4, 5, and 6 are high fantasy.
Yeah.
Episode 1, 2, and 3 are high sci-fi.
Okay.
I would say those things are completely different in terms of visual flair as well, because in the original trilogy,
there's a difference. Yeah.
in the original trilogy, it's much more of a fantasy epic, like akin to Willow or the Dark Crystal. Whereas in
Someone's got Dark Crystal in the brain.
yes, I've been watching it on Netflix, the new series.
I have
It's
had
freaking
zero
awesome.
time. Otherwise, I would be watching it.
It's so good, dude. It's actually, in my opinion, it's better than the original film.
This just means I have to go rewatch the original before I start watching it.
Actually, no. Because I've seen the original ages ago. I've been keeping it off until after, because this is a prequel. So I'm watching this first, and then I'm going to the movie just to see if anything tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I was a kid, my parents, I don't know if it was for me, but they had the Dark Crystal making of book.
Oh, really?
Yes, the original one.
Because that you can't buy anywhere.
I know. I'm gonna try and find it. It's somewhere at my parents' place, and that book is amazing.
That would be amazing because they used one of those on the original production. Because I was you know how some films have end credit scenes? This has an end credit documentary.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so they talked about their process and these two writers who have had done nothing in film and television came in and pitched the idea to do this, and they used the original book as their pitching material for the whole series. And it's
Well, if I can't find it, they obviously stole it from us somehow.
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously. But man, that's awesome. That's
Natural
fantastic.
conclusion. Another niche product, niche market maybe, but maybe because Netflix...
It was a cult film. It was
it was
definitely a
cult,
cult film when it came out. It was definitely a cult film for the 15, 20 plus years after it came out. And now that Netflix has done this, and they've done it really well.
That's great.
Oh, it's just great. I was surprised at how emotionally invested I was in puppets. Because usually...
Well, I've always been...
puppets... No, but you know what? Like puppets...
Yeah.
Puppets lean into comedy more than they lean into anything else.
Yeah.
This series does not do that. It leans into some really dark places. And I was really surprised, really disturbed, but really glad they did that because it's such a good story. Fantastic. 10 out of 10.
Taking advantage of their own means, own product as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Because they were going to do an original CGI film. That's what they're going to do. They were going to do like a CGI show or something like that. And then they did a test with it and they were like, it's not working. We need to go back to the puppets.
Let's just do the puppets.
And so they injected it with an extra like $3-4 million or something in the budget, and here we are.
Do you know what?
It's probably more than that.
Do you know what I see? About 2 weeks ago, I just went and rewatched all of Harry Potter Puppet Pals.
Nice. I do that every year. Like honestly, the middle of last year, I went out and bought the Harry Potter films on Blu-ray in order to watch them again. Because every single year, I had them downloaded on a hard drive when I was at college, and then my hard drive died, and then I was like, you know what? I'm no longer going to like download stuff because it's like I understand people like having everything kind of collated on drives and stuff or on a computer, but if that thing stuffs up, it's gone. And you can use the cloud, but I don't want to use the cloud. That's just too much connectivity issues and all that other shit. I'd just rather like a physical copy. I love my physical copies of stuff.
I get that.
It's just
if it was practical,
nice.
I would do the same thing.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's only practical if you have a place where you're living and you know you're going to be there for like years and years and years to come.
Yeah, that's true.
Really. Unless you like moving. I don't like moving. I hate moving. But yeah, there we go.
I both like and dislike moving.
Depends on where you go. Depends on why you're going.
And depends on how many people you know already there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, I just find a segue. I'm just going to ride this segue. A character who moves to new location, and this is at the start of the movie, is our protagonist, our male lead. I don't even know his name. Do you have a name of the character somewhere?
I do
I've written show notes, and he's just called male lead.
Well done.
His name doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah. I'm finding it. I'm finding it.
I remember the only character's name I can remember is the little brother, is Nagi.
This is hard. Yeah, Nagi. All right. Characters. The main character is called Hodaka, and the main female character is Hina.
Hina and Hidaka. Okay.
Hina and Hodaka.
Hickory dickory dock.
Don't do that.
Let's run up the clock.
Oh dear. So yes.
Yeah. No. The movie starts with. Well, actually, it doesn't start with him. It starts with a prelogue.
Prologue or prologue?
A prologue. Scene of the female lead walking.
It's both of them because he's voicing over this. Like he's saying the first day that I met her, it was raining and all this other stuff. And then she's at a hospital, and what we assume to be her mother is lying on the hospital bed. And she looks out the window. She sees like a ray of light, and we're led to believe that Tokyo has been in this really, really bad weather pattern for some time now.
Yeah, they're getting rain.
Lots and lots of rain.
Constant rain.
Flooding, all that stuff. And she runs out, and while this voiceover is happening about, how wonderful she is and how, this person who's speaking is in love with her, she runs out and finds this shrine, and she prays really hard for the rain to stop. And she like floats into the air, and she's like
sky.
1,000 miles above the face of the earth and all that other stuff. And she like floats back down, and she's like stopped the rain for like a small period of time. And then the rain comes back.
Yep.
And then we transition to Hodaka, who is like, he's homeless. He's on the street.
We start with him on the ferry to Tokyo.
Yes.
He's ran away from home.
And there's like, the rain is about to, I guess, unleash on the...
Unleash might be the correct term, yes. Because it's not just a faint drop onto the ferry. No,
it's a dump.
It is a dump,
It's a big, giant dump. It's like this,
and it almost kills him.
It's like this guy took a shit on this boat for like 3 seconds, and he almost like gets thrown from the boat, and he gets saved by this guy called Kisuke.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Suga. He just calls him Suga.
Suga-san.
And he becomes he saves his life, pulls him inside, and
eventually gives him a job.
Hodaka actually pays for a meal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because like they're making comments about like, is there any beer? And he buys him a beer. And it's funny because this whole film has one of the main themes is age, which is odd for me.
I think it's perspective of age. I think perspective is one of the main things in this movie, and age is one of the ways it deals with perspective.
It's just an odd one to deal, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
to deal with, like, because it's something that, I don't know, here in the Western culture, age isn't really something that is a topic of contention among most people. Like, most people don't really care as much as this film cares about age.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the other things is the film centers on the youth in this movie, and
the perspective of the youth.
And the perspective of others onto youth. And I think that is a big issue, but this film treats it more seriously than what we consciously think of.
I also think they treat it analytically rather than emotionally, if that makes sense. So...
No, the characters are emotional, but the way the film presents it is
analytical. Very analytical, very by the numbers, very, X plus Y equals Z, and this is how we get there, which is fine, but at the same time, for me personally, I like seeing that in retrospect.
Yep.
Not as I'm watching it.
Well, I think we're getting almost onto too much stuff. We should just give a general outline of our own opinions in the movie. You go first.
All right, I thought it was good, but not great. I thought it was decent, but there were a lot of hang-ups that this film got caught on as it was trying to tell the story.
Yeah, I think I loved the movie, but I hated the movie at the same time because I thought it could have been so much better. Because this movie has a lot going on in it, and it has a lot of themes, a lot of plot points, but the story is jagged, and the pacing has sort of trips itself over. The second montage scene, it has 2 montage scenes within.
It has more than 2 montage scenes.
But in the
first half of the film, it has 2 montage scenes.
Almost back to back. There's like 2 scenes.
It's maybe 5 to 8 minutes between the end of the first montage scene and the beginning of the second montage scene, and there is an issue with that.
Yeah,
I feel like if you're leaning too hard on that trope of doing a montage, like you need to be able to decide which one is more important to the story, and if both are important, then you need to find another way to tell one of them
through
and pace them better.
Like the second one, I think could have just been an additional scene instead of a montage scene.
Yeah. And also this film, like we talk about show don't tell, which is important. It's very important in the world of film, but I feel like this film takes that everything too literally because I feel like we could have started maybe half an hour into the movie and focused a little bit more on the emotional depth of some of these characters and told a richer story that way instead of starting where we did.
Well, there's like 3 or 4 arcs in this movie, and each one of them probably the emotional plot points involved would have been a lot stronger if they were dug into more.
Yeah, because I love when we see the character interactions. I think those are the strongest parts of this film, is when 2 characters are sharing a scene, or 2 or more characters are sharing a scene, and something important is happening underneath the surface. So we've got
Just describe
Suga and his daughter.
Yeah.
When he's taking her out to the park, we have not just those 2 interacting, but Nagi interacting with the little girl, and then everyone else just interacting together. And there's like 3 different conversations happening at once, but it's happening in a very natural way. And watching it unfold, it's telling us more about the characters and showing us as well at the same time.
I actually think Nagi was my favorite character for his betrayal and the way the rest of the world reacts to him.
Yeah,
because he's a Casanova, and he's a 14-year-old 12-year-old Casanova.
12-year-old Casanova.
Yeah.
It's great, and
like the police ladies' observance of what's going on. It's like, what is going on here?
And there's like it plays into that ageism again of like there's this young 12-year-old becomes the teacher to Hidaka, who is like in love with his sister.
Yeah, not
Hidaka's sister, Nagi's sister.
Yeah.
And so he has no idea about how to talk to her or like what to do or anything like that.
Because he's 16. Yeah, he's 16. He has no idea. Most 16-year-olds, sorry, but you don't have any idea to talk to girls.
No, you might think you do, but you don't.
No. And if you do think you do, go talk to someone else about what you think you should do before you actually do it. Otherwise, you may end up yourself in a lot of pain.
Life lessons with Jordan and Scotty.
Yes. You will appreciate it, whether you like it or not.
In at least 5 years' time. But that's what I liked about it, and that's what I didn't like about the dead scenes at the very beginning of this film. Like, yes, it's setting up some characters, but at the same time, there's no character interaction.
There's also
just characters
plot
that
setup.
are doing things for the plot.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's fine, it can work, but in this circumstance, I don't think it does.
No. And the themes aren't strong enough yet for it to, like, be linked.
Have that impact.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, Your Name does this as well in certain scenes, and it has a montage scene near the beginning of the movie. But that montage scene clearly linked from A to B. And also, what was in that montage scene was essentially dead air that normally a movie would spend too long in.
Yes.
And you'd be like, okay, I'm glad this montage scene exists.
Yeah, because it's giving me information without slowing the pace of the film.
Yeah.
That's what Your Name did really well. Also, in Your Name, when those emotional beats came back up for the plot, I was emotionally invested. I shed a tear in that film.
Well, I'd shed a tear in this movie, but
I did as well. But
also, it wasn't for the same.
No, it felt
the same hit.
It felt a little cheaper.
Yeah, or it felt deadened. It felt like muted. I wanted more of this.
Muted.
Yeah, muted.
Yeah, because it felt like there was a layer of just a barrier between us and the characters in this film, where you know, their story's trying to come out, but it just couldn't quite get there.
And once again, I think the length of the movie as well is another reason for that, because the movie is long. So that when we do get to the emotional moments that hit us hardest, we felt like there's been a lot of baggage that's kept us getting there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of scenes that are there for the plot's sake as well, which, like when Suga-san and his niece are interviewing the old priest about the thing on the building. It's like, that's a fascinating scene. But
I actually really enjoyed that scene, but you're right. As soon as that scene ends, we don't really get to, you know what I mean? Like,
it has impacts on the plot, but it doesn't have impact on the character.
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't have any impact on the character. And part of like my frustration with this film was, why don't we have that impact the characters? Because we don't actually, you know, it doesn't really impact the characters until after she's like half gone.
Yeah, we're just spoiling the plot now at this point. But also, there's a scene earlier on which has a similar thing where they interview the medium.
Yeah.
Which does do something similar because it's the main character interviewing her. But also, all of this doesn't affect, because it's the other characters interviewing this old priest dude. We, the audience, are aware, but the characters aren't aware. So, and also the fact that we had the second montage scene. I think this is the second montage scene is the problem.
Yeah.
Because it
stalls.
It stalls, but also the story of it is the male lead has found the female lead, and now he's basically selling her abilities.
Yeah. And it's a very...
And they think it's great.
But it's a very generic...
What do you mean by generic?
Trope to use. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, a group gets together to sell something or to do something, and you have a montage scene of them learning how to do it or learning how to sell it.
But there's emotional impact that's supposed to be in this montage scene that because it's a montage scene isn't there.
There is a little bit where I think it's not so much there to show them selling anything. I think it's to show their relationship growing more.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate, but I feel like you could have done that
with
outside of a montage. You didn't need a montage for that.
If it had just been one scene that showed the character growth, it'd been far more successful, even without the time advancement. I think there was time advancement necessary.
Because we already have some character growth between these two. Like, she works at McDonald's, and she gives him a free burger because he's starving on the street. Like, there is already character there. We don't need a montage to grow that any further. We can just do that over the course of that one scene, which we kind of did, where they do their first job together. Yeah. And then they grow from there. And it's a lot more interesting. I love the interaction. Like, we've got Nagi in that little costume. The ward, I guess it's like a...
So this, for those who aren't aware of Japanese culture, there's this little superstition that if you put up these little happy men, on rainy days, the rain is meant to go away. He's dressed up as a massive one of them.
It's hilarious.
And her hat is, it's the umbrella, has all these around as well. Yeah.
But what they're doing is so funny. Like, he's dancing around it with the umbrella, like flapping it and moving it and stuff. And he's dancing it, like Nagi's dancing around in the little costume. And I love the nuances to the animation. I think one thing that cannot be undersold is the animation of this film is top notch. It's amazing.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
And like, there's this thing you have when you see an animated hand-drawn movie in the big screen. It's like, okay, it's gonna be good. Like, I remember seeing Mulan, and I'm like, wow, this is good. But this is beyond good. It's gone to great. It's refined. Yes, there's so much detail on the scenes, but it doesn't detract. It's not like a Michael Bay. Here's everything, and now it's not a spaghetti junction.
It's very crisp. Yeah, and it's very bright, and it's very colorful.
And there's focus as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it knows what it's trying to do.
I could just gush on animation.
But one thing I kind of wish I wanted to see more of is the whole mythos of the sky realm, of the sky world. That
they just allude to it, and there's a lot of illusion as opposed to actual description.
And it's funny because I'm not often someone who goes to world building. I like the subtle world building where, in Lord of the Rings, how in the books. Yeah. At the very least, is very subtle. Like, one line can throw away a whole subculture of characters that doesn't even get touched on. But
the map can. The maps of Lord of the Rings have subcultures in them that isn't even described anywhere in the pages.
So I love that. I love world building. I love that kind of stuff. The subtle type. But I felt like this film didn't have any world building almost at all.
I think it was relying on popular Japanese culture's knowledge of things.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That makes sense.
So I've written down knowledge of Japanese folklore here because as a Western viewer, we don't have as much of it. But the idea of maidens of sacrifice, or whatever you want to call them, of these characters who are built up to sacrifice to the gods for any reason whatsoever. I mean, I think there is some historical presence in the West as well.
Yes.
But there's Abraham. No, is it Abraham?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Abraham sacrificing his son.
Yeah. So there are ideas there, but
it's all throughout history. It's all throughout almost every culture, but every culture has its own different take on it.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I think Studio Ghibli often does this very well, especially with Spirited Away.
Yes, Spirited Away is fantastic.
Has a lot of Japanese culture in that is almost taken for granted by the characters because it is the normal way that they live.
Yeah.
But we have Chihiro who goes through that story and is introduced to all this kind of stuff and sees it from an outsider's perspective.
That's the difference, is the character... That's another weird thing about Weathering with You is there's a lot of investigative journalism into what's going on, but at the same time, it's like the audience isn't given it directly.
Yeah.
So,
and in a film where if I understood more of the Japanese culture that is in this movie, I think I would appreciate this film more. So I don't necessarily blame the movie for this.
No, because most Japanese movies have to, naturally, you would suspect they have... And
they're influenced by it.
They're anticipating that their audience is Japanese.
Yeah, exactly.
Or has some knowledge of Japan.
And so when a film reaches the worldwide stage and it's pushed past its own culture, like how far can it really go?
Or does it have a different outlook all of a sudden? So with certain scenes, like with the psychic and stuff, I think they were playing onto the fact that most people like psychics are stupid. I think even that they were doing that.
Well, did you see the room next door?
Yeah.
You've got this guy with these fans and he's just dancing around like just...
That's another thing.
And the guy that's like in there like getting his reading done by this old psychic dude. He's like, like the reactions in that surround these characters in all of these different circumstances are really, even like when he's in McDonald's, seeing the people in the background eating and talking, it's very immersive.
A fleshed out world.
Yeah, it's very
This
immersive.
world feels real, and it's not just like a real world. It's like a real world unto itself.
Yeah.
It's like once we were talking about Lord of the Rings, like stuff that happens in Lord of the Rings, like we know it's not real, but at the same time, it's like it's real to them.
Yeah.
And we believe that. Well, there's a fully constructed world in this movie.
And it's great to watch. It's one of this film's strong suits, aside from obviously the animation, is definitely the lived-in feel of the world. However, it didn't feel... I don't know. I felt like the impact that the real world was having due to this spiritual world was a lot less, even though that was the main crux of this movie.
It was like they were parallel. They would occasionally touch, but they're never sight. Like they never.
It didn't feel like
touching.
It didn't feel like the stakes for everything surrounding them were really high enough for me.
Well, they weren't built up enough.
Yeah,
like they're there, but then like they're suddenly there, and then they're gone again.
Yeah, and not to say this film is trash, because it isn't.
But it has. I think there's two. One of the reasons is there are two themes that the film's trying to touch on. Like one of the themes we haven't talked about is authority. So because they're kids, and I think the kids feel stifled and useless most of the time in this world, even though they somehow managed to help save a massive fireworks display in the city. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the police, they see the kid as a danger to himself and everyone around him when he's just trying to do the right thing.
Which was weird to me, because you would think after saving all of these high-profile things with her weather powers, these kids would be a little bit more famous. Do you know what I mean? Like,
well, they've deliberately tried not to show her face and stuff.
I understand that, but like the lack of cameras that are watching them, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it just seems like there's a disconnect there that doesn't make sense between the world and our main characters. They're like, they interact with the world appropriately, but the world doesn't interact realistically to them, their existence in it. And it's weird. I don't think that's a good choice. It might be a plot choice.
I think it's a theme choice as well.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that they
the movie doesn't work if everyone else takes them seriously.
But that's it. But they do though. That's
yeah.
that's the dichotomy of this thing. Like I think if this was okay, let's say in the world of this film, let's posit a different take on this, where the characters do their thing and the sun shines down and stuff like that, but everyone kind of looks at them and goes, well, that was just going to happen anyway, because just because it's raining half the time doesn't mean sun doesn't pop up every now and then.
It's just a coincidence.
And you have maybe one or two characters within that group of people oh, no, they're the genuine real deal. And you keep the audience and these people guessing on that, which eliminates the need for cameras to be watching them all the time. It eliminates the need for any of that. It also makes them more of a wild card to the cops when they do finally catch up to them, because that's what they are in this film.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are. They don't give a shit.
Well, they know one of them has a gun, which is another...
And that's it. But with all the fame that surrounds what they've done, surely that would come into the police's opinions,
but
right? But they don't.
They don't have any knowledge of it whatsoever.
Exactly, which is weird. It doesn't make any sense to me. Especially with all the flooding and how the weather is impacting stuff, it doesn't make sense that they would react that way to them. But here's what I would have liked to have seen is if even they are second guessing her abilities. But they're not. They're 100% committed to it. But if they have oh, this is kind of fun, and if he's using this whole job as a way to get closer to her, that would have been more interesting, which he kind of is, but also at the same time, it's kind of very, very minutely underplayed, and I don't feel like it really does it any credit to underplay it as much as they did.
I think part of it's he's 16, they didn't want to...
Yeah, I understand. But at the same time, I would have liked to see more of that played on screen, because that is the most interesting for me part of this movie, is seeing that relationship and seeing how he tries to deal with it.
Well, the thing is, halfway through...
deal with it.
Yeah, no,
he
can't.
sucks at dealing with it.
He does.
It's fantastic
He makes
to watch.
regrets, and then he has to accept his own failings.
Exactly, and that's fantastic to watch.
That is one of my favorite... In fact, that's probably my favorite thing in this movie, is the way it deals with making mistakes.
Yeah.
Is there are mistakes made in this movie, and characters just have to learn to accept them and move past them.
Which reminds me a lot of Akira.
Yes.
Huge, the last half of this film reminds me so much of Akira in terms of emotional growth of characters, in terms of characters making mistakes and then regretting them hugely, all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't know, Akira is, I guess it was Japan's take on Blade Runner.
Yeah.
In a way.
Motorcycles.
With motorcycles. Fantastic movie. Guys, go check it out. But it deals with similar themes of family, loss, and regret.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic movie.
It is. Go watch Akira. We might do Akira at some point as well.
I would like to do a flashback anime episode. That'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe we should just do a flashback, take 2 or 3 classic movies and just talk about them.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
Actually, we could... Oh, man, that would open up so many... rabbit holes.
If you guys want us to do this, comment below. Email Jordan. Spam him.
Oh yeah, go on Facebook and post a comment, and we'll see what we can do.
The music in this movie is done by Radwimps, which is the same band that did Your Name. The only reason I bring this up is because I think they were part of the reason for some of the poor pacing issues. They wanted to jam some of the songs into it.
I did not like a lot of the songs that were in this movie. It took me out of it.
I didn't dislike the music. I just thought it was unnecessary at points.
It took me out of it.
Okay.
So there are some things that work, but there are a lot of things that don't. And back in the 80s and 70s and sometimes in the 90s as well, some films would use actual lyrical songs, pop songs and stuff.
Sweet Dreams are made of these.
To convey a story, but didn't work it into the world. So it works when it's part of the diegetic sound, where something is let's say a radio is playing, and suddenly that radio song takes over in a montage or something like that. That works because you've already established that this song is part of the world. Yeah. But what I do not like is when scenes have a pop song shoved onto them. That somehow match the feeling of it.
The thing is, I think it does work at some points.
I don't like it. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. That's one of my things that I just do not like.
Even when it's in a different language?
Even when it's in a different language, I do not like it.
Okay.
I do not like, because it's not the lyrics that you feel, it's the emotion behind the lyrics that you feel. And so I kind of felt like I was being emotionally
Okay, I'm curious
manipulated.
now.
I feel like I was being emotionally manipulated in some of those scenes where that music was coming on. I was
Okay,
like, I don't want, like, it automatically makes me feel like I don't want
You
to
feel like
that way.
it shouldn't. You feel like it shouldn't need to do this to you. It should earn it
I feel
anyway.
like they don't need lyrics to do this to me.
Okay.
I feel like just give me the melody, and
Because
we'll
actually, I
follow
sometimes
the
feel like if a certain melody is playing at some points, like I feel like actually that's emotionally manipulating you. You haven't earned that.
Yeah.
Because that
happens as well.
Yeah.
That happens as well. But like, it's got to be earned. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when lyrics and music and stuff gets played over film, and it hasn't been earned, I go in the opposite direction. I get
back.
revulsed.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't like it. I hate it.
Okay, this is completely out of nowhere, but we have to have a discussion about Duel of the Fates.
Oh man, that's just comedy gold.
It's comedy gold to you?
No, I did enjoy that, but mainly because of the genre of that film as well.
Yeah.
Because of the high fantasy, but not just because of the high fantasy, because it was a cultural choice within a cultural film.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Whereas this, it is similar, but at the same time, because it's not set up as a high fantasy or a high sci-fi.
Also, maybe it's because it's the highlight of the film as opposed to the low point of the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Because let's be honest, that's one of the best things that came out of the prequels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, Duel of the Fates, I remember when I was with my little brother, I was like 13 at the time, maybe 14, something like that.
12.
No, this is like after.
Oh, okay, okay.
I had the music on a CD, and I would put Duel of the Fates on repeat, and me and my little brother had our lightsabers, and we'd like play in the backyard.
Of course.
Because that was the feeling. I don't think, but I also think it's because John Williams.
Yes.
The way that he crafts that music, it's not a pop song, if that makes sense.
Oh,
so
no,
it's not
it's classical. So.
Yeah, it's classical. It is like a piece by Bach. It's something that is,
and even though it's chorus, it's also, you could almost claim it is diegetic as well.
Yeah,
because it feels part of the scene without.
It grows and it swells. It doesn't just automatically. There isn't a drum beat and then suddenly we're in the song. There's like it grows and swells as the scene progresses. Like in the first part of, I remember this song.
Who does?
Exactly.
People our age know this.
Duel of the Fates starts just with very, very, very soft string instruments, and it swells and grows. And it's not until the big clash in that generator
and
room
the chorus comes
where
in.
the chorus actually does come in. And so because of that build up, you can accept it more. Whereas in this, in films
These
that use pop songs just jam right in there, and they've started, and you're like, well, you didn't earn this, you didn't build this up at all, and so I don't like it.
Okay. The kids in this film have a maturity to them without not feeling like kids. Do you agree or disagree?
I feel like age roles have been definitely flipped with this film.
But do they still feel like kids to you?
Yeah, or some of them do and some of them don't.
I feel like most of the time they do. But there are a couple of occasions where it feels a bit weird.
Yeah.
But that might be a culture thing again. Maybe it could be that kids culturally in Japan naturally are like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there were for instance, Nagi, I think is still my favorite character in the movie because he feels constant and he works to me, even though it's so weird.
He's an anchor, really, because he doesn't change at all.
No.
He knows what he knows and he does what he does, and we know why he does it and we know how he operates. And it's comforting. It's something that we can get drawn to as an audience and go, okay, this is our safe spot with a character. And then we venture out to these other relationships and other characters around him.
I feel like the female lead, is it Hidaka? No, that's the...
Hidaka's the guy.
I feel like she's deliberately mysterious in terms of her portrayal.
I actually didn't like her.
Yeah, I sort of found her sort of dull.
Yeah.
She was a plot point character.
Yeah, she was a big plot point. She was just one walking, talking plot point.
And I think once again, the the times in the movie for character development with her were in the montage scenes.
Yeah.
Or a couple other scenes. It's like, so we don't...
Or at the very opening. Like,
yeah.
We don't actually see her in those flashbacks interacting with anyone.
No, she's just doing her thing.
She is just there. And I think that's the huge difference between Your Name. In Your Name, we have two characters, male and female,
very distinctive
storylines run parallel, who exist in this world and who interact with other people in this world realistically and effectively. Whereas in this, honestly, we only have one main character, and that's Hodoka.
Yeah.
We don't have, like, Hina isn't a main character in this. She's a plot point. The next one, obviously, is Nagi is definitely another character, and so Suga. But these characters, like these characters, are the main characters, not Hina.
No.
And I was very disappointed by that.
And also, when we do get the Hina scenes, like when he first visits her house, it's all about his opinions, or it's like his growth in those scenes. It's not about her side of things.
Yeah. And I was very disappointed by that, because it didn't make sense to me when the time came for her to, go up to the sky and do all that and get sacrificed. It didn't make sense to me why she would continue to do what she was doing.
Yeah, no.
Because the reason she gives is she asks him, do you want the rain to stop? And he says yes, without realizing the implications of that. But wouldn't you talk about that? Like, it doesn't seem like a realistic decision for anyone, even a 16-year-old, to make. It just doesn't feel real.
Well, she's 15.
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a weird thing about her age in this movie as well.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's a big point of contention where he realizes that he's older than her, and he cries about it. And I understand that there's more to it than that. Like, he's crying about losing her, but at the same time, I think it might be a culture thing where, like, people who are older than others have more control over their situation.
I think you feel, if someone's older than you, you naturally look up to them in a sense of responsibility. So he felt like she had responsibility towards him, as opposed to he should have been responsible for her, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that might be what they're trying to go.
I think that's what they were trying to go for. But I feel like because of the analytical way of displaying it, it didn't quite hit.
No.
And it just came off as a weird thing that they were trying to do. Well, to me at least.
I think we should have had more of her, like, personality there. I think that's what the film needed.
Because all she was just like, care about the rain. Also, my mum died. And that's about it. And it was kind of,
Like the cat, Rain, had more personality.
Yeah, no. And more growth as well.
It becomes fat.
It was good.
The side characters go up. It's a good one. And also, I think it also highlighted one of the jaded character in this movie, which is his first boss. What's his name again? Suga-san?
Suga.
Yeah.
Suga. He's lazy and he's a bit of a bum, but he's got a job and he offers Hodoka a job as well.
He has good intentions, and yet, because of certain things, they have not necessarily the best effects.
He's drifting in his life.
Yes.
He is not somebody who cares about much. The only thing he really cares about is kind of his relationships to other people and his daughter. His daughter, even more than any other person.
Yeah,
obviously. Yeah. Well, that's the big one.
Yeah.
But like, he doesn't really care about his job. Even at the end, like when the cops are onto him, he's like, he doesn't. He's just he's just drifting, and it's only until like that final scene where the cops and he have a showdown and. Hodoka's got the gun, that he actually steps up emotionally and says...
he's at that point where he can actually see both points of view.
Yeah.
Which I think is why he's important to the storyline. He can say, okay, this is the adult perspective and this is the kids.
I think we should have spent more time with Suga.
Yeah, I do too. I actually think that's the other thing the film needed, was a bit more of Suga. And once again, that second montage scene. I think that second montage scene tripped the movie up so much.
Yeah. There was a lot of unnecessary information that didn't actually come back into the story because of that scene. That I was kind of expecting, because with that scene, because the second montage is about them doing, like, fixing the weather, basically. But they don't learn anything by the end of this montage scene at all. They don't learn anything whatsoever, anything new about each other or the job.
It's trying to connect the characters back together again. Where I think
take that scene out. Get rid of it.
Take the montage out and have them all interconnected more.
Yeah.
A lot of the scenes that happen afterwards.
We could have devoted more time to Suga and his character because he is the audience character in this. He is the one that is drifting in like the middle of the road kind of thing where he's learning information about all these other characters around him. So we should have had more time with him to kind of explore both points of view of these characters. That's what we should have had, but we didn't.
And explaining that there are two clear points of view here between what people are seeing from the outside and what the kids are seeing from the inside.
Yeah. And that's the hard thing with films like this because, and I think because of the beauty of the animation that you're watching, sometimes it can actually be a distraction for the story that's actually going on, which can be quite difficult. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It can be quite.
I think it does only a couple of times though.
I've run into that problem with what is it?
Thingamajig.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Howl's Moving Castle, gorgeous film. Watching it recently, rewatching it recently, the story isn't that great.
It's not as good as
the characters aren't as investing.
Spirited Away.
And rewatching Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, those characters are so investing and so interesting and so like endearing to watch compared to Howl's Moving Castle. Yeah. I love those other films more than that, and it's because you can get sidetracked by some of the beautiful animation because in Howl's Moving Castle, it is gorgeous. I think, honestly, some of those scenes are the most iconic scenes that Studio Ghibli has ever created. But the story behind it, nowhere near living up to the animation. Nowhere near living up to the animation. And I'm sorry if people love that movie.
No, it's not just that. Is it Mary the Witch? Is that the latest one, I think? I think it is. It might be something. It's about a little girl. But whatever.
Often always is with Studio Ghibli films. Strong female characters.
And young, strong female characters. But the film is gorgeous, yet the story got to the stage where it bored me in elements. And like I was still enjoying the animation, but the story was detracting from it.
Yeah.
And if the story is detracting from the animation, that's kind of sad.
Well, it's kind of operating against... what it is. It's like if your body decided to reject your spinal cord, like out of the blue. Like
it doesn't.
Sure, your body is somewhat reacting almost naturally to this, but at the same time, like you're killing yourself.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. You're killing yourself.
It's ridiculous, and it's a shame. And it reminded me of The Revenant. Actually, cinematography, beautiful, character and story, nothing.
But at the same time, the wonder of seeing the world, and I think especially through child's eyes, I think does come out clearly in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's like even though some of it might be detracting, at the same time it does add to it, I think.
Well, I think the stuff that does add to it adds a lot to it.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing.
It is so gorgeous.
It is. It is. I do wish we had more time up in the sky.
Yeah.
Because I think if we spent more time with, is it Hina?
Yeah, Hina.
If we spent more time with her inside her own mind and maybe finding a connection between her and the sky realm, where if she falls asleep and she dreams about this place, that would have been so much more interesting.
It has sort of the Tomorrowland problem where it's all in the box and you kind of want to see what's in the box a bit more.
Yeah. There's too much left to interpretation and mystery.
Yeah.
And I feel like films can go either way. So... one of the perfect examples of a great film that does what's in the box mystery really well, and I'll give you two examples of two completely different directors who do it two completely different ways. Christopher Nolan and J.J. Abrams. Both of these filmmakers do what's in the box really, really well when they're allowed to.
Yeah.
So Super 8 is one of them.
Yes.
That does it fantastic. And so is the first Star Trek that he made, which is 2009. They both deal with what's in the box. In Star Trek, we have the villain who's kind of a mystery and an enigma who slowly gets revealed to the characters as the information becomes important to them. In Super 8, we have the monster who is also an enigma who really doesn't get solved too much, but it doesn't matter because...
In fact, the weakest point in the movie you could argue is the scene where you do see the monster.
Yeah,
at the end.
But that's not the point of the character's growth. The point of the character's growth is letting go of his mother, which he does so through helping this monster. And so what's in the box is subverted by, saying, okay, well, what's in the box actually isn't important. It is important is these characters and their relationships. And then you got Christopher Nolan in Inception, which does what's in the box exceptionally well. And I feel like people aren't used to it. So it was quite confusing for people when it first came out. But how he does it is he slowly reveals it as time goes on. But these are all incidental. They're not
it's also
something
interlinked with the major themes in the movie.
Exactly.
As well.
And so a lot of that what's in the box stuff is incidental, but adds more power to those emotional reveals.
I think, well, we had to constantly compare to Your Name, and Your Name also does it fantastically well.
Yeah.
When it's all linked to the meteorite strike that's about to happen to the small town, and it's about trying to stop that affecting the people there.
And also, going back to Studio Ghibli, Spirited Away does, again, what's in the box really well by subverting it and saying, no, what's in the box actually doesn't matter. Because she's going through all this stuff. She is like confused. Her parents have turned to pigs. She's working pretty much as a slave.
Yep.
And she is like asking, why is this happening? Why is it happening? And then she realizes, no, it's not important why. It's important what I have to do to get back to my life.
I think what's in the box has to relate to consequences outside in terms of characters.
Yeah.
In Your Name, there are consequences, and the characters deal with the consequences of what's in the box and solve the mystery.
Yeah.
The consequences in this movie are all tied to the characters themselves, we aren't given enough time to actually.
We're not invested in them.
Yeah.
We're not invested in them. At least I didn't feel like we were invested in
them.
And
the female lead. We need more of the female lead.
Yeah. I feel like we focused way too much on Haruka and not enough on Hina, and also not on Suga either. I think he needed a lot more screen time.
I think we just needed more scenes with more of the characters. Together.
Yeah. Instead of the lone scenes with them by themselves.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of stuff there. Like the scenes where Haruka's interacting with the brothel.
Yeah.
I feel like there were too many scenes around that.
Yeah, no,
there was a lot of information.
That was unnecessary plot.
That didn't come back.
That's why at the start I said I think it could have done with a bit more producer interference, because I think a producer might have been like, "Why is this here? You should just get rid of this plot point."
Yeah,
there's so many other plot points. Get rid of this one, and the film will be a lot smoother. I think
they needed a reason though for him to like have the gun, and to use the gun. But you can still do that without all of that unnecessary information. Because he's protecting this chick. Like he's a kid. He's high on, all of the emotions running hot through his brain, puberty, all that stuff. Like he doesn't need a logical reason to do any of the stuff he does.
They turned it up to 11 with the gun, but at the same time, it's like take the gun out of the picture altogether, and he's just a missing kid.
Exactly, and that I feel was something that they. I don't know whether it was because they assumed that Western audiences wouldn't understand what it meant to be a runaway.
No, I really think they just want to turn up to 11.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work.
Yeah. Even the final scene with the gun where he's...
Because it would have been more interesting if you have these cops following him and they're not giving a reason, and then it turns out, oh, he's a runaway, he's done all of this stuff at home, and they're trying to catch him because of the stuff he did at home.
Well, that's a funny
That would have been way more interesting, but they didn't really do that. They just said, oh, he's got a gun, we got to stop him.
Yeah, actually, even then, I don't even need any of that. The fact that he ran away from home, that's enough. Like, we don't even, they don't, in the film, they don't go into his personal relationship with his parents at all.
No.
And I'm kind of like, we don't need that. No. I honestly, like...
I'm curious, but we don't need it.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not something that we need information on.
Because it's not relevant to the story they're telling.
Yeah. So, yeah. That was... What would you, like, overall, what would you actually...
It's hard. I think it makes 6.5 out of 10, because it has moments that are literally 9, 10 out of 10, but there's the story...
But there's also got other stuff
that drags it down. So it's got such heavy burdens on it that it just drags itself down.
Yeah. I think I would give it a little higher than you. I think I'd give it maybe a 7.5.
Well, I was going to give it a 7. I was trying to drag it down because of because I think because the high points are so high, I want to drag it down more. It is probably a 7, 7.5, but
yeah, it does. It's got an odd balance to it.
It's certainly great to watch, especially at the cinema.
Yeah, it's fantastic to watch. It makes me want to watch Your Name in
at the cinema.
I wish I saw that.
Me too. That was like when it came out. I was like, I wish I saw Your Name at the cinema because it looks so good. It looks so good on the small screen. It was made for the big screen. How did it look on the big screen?
Yeah. Oh, well. Maybe in 5-10 years I'll have a flashback showing.
Oh, a lot of anime movies do that.
Yeah.
And there's certain cinemas that like to do special. So Princess Mononoke, I think I'd like to see that on big screen too.
That would be awesome. That would be really.
Well, Howl's Moving Castle probably good to see on big screen too.
Yeah, I could skip it.
Okay.
If I was going to choose between Howl's Moving Castle and almost any other Studio Ghibli film, I'd choose almost any other Studio Ghibli film.
Okay. Apparently, the one about the guy who made the Zero plane is really good to see on big screen too. Because the sky scenes are amazing to see.
Oh yeah, yeah, they would be. They would be.
Okay, well, that's our opinion of the film.
Yeah, thank you for listening. I think we'll cut to a break and you'll listen to us fairly soon.
And we'll probably watch a movie in between then and now.
Yeah, we might do that.
Thanks, me.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan and Scotty from 3 hours ago. No, more. It's like 5 hours ago.
Yeah, we've done a lot since then.
Today's been super productive, and like I still don't feel like I've done much, but I have.
It's because you've hung out with me.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that's why. Life's a dream.
And if you want to keep up with our nonsense, you know where to find us on Facebook, Instagram, also on Spotify and iTunes and Stitcher and anywhere you can fill your ears with podcasty goodness.
You know what we didn't discuss on the podcast?
What didn't we discuss?
Sub versus a dub.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a good thing to discuss in the limited time we have.
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Outro.
Go.
I don't like subs. I much prefer dubs.
Okay, I'm ambivalent, and something depends on the voice acting involved, and sometimes the Japanese is just better than English, though. So
that's fair. I just don't like having to look in separate parts of the screen when like beautiful animation is happening in front of me. That's my only reason why I would prefer dubs.
Yep.
I mean subs. I mean dubs.
It is dubs you prefer. Dub.
Yeah, dubs.
Dubstep.
Yeah, but that's my only reason for it. I wish. I mean, if I was really serious about it, I'd learn Japanese, but I'm just too lazy.
Yeah, me too. I get used to the flashing my eyes across. Anyway, this person for the trivia.
Oh yeah, we're in trivia, guys.
Okay. Was born on the 19th of April, 1946. Is an English actor, voice actor, comedian, and singer.
Comedian.
And singer. This person rose to prominence with their portrayal of Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Show.
Nice.
And also provided a great cameo in a certain video game that always cracks me up. Who is this person?
Find out next time on the Film Roast Podcast.
Yes.
See you guys.
Bye.